Namaste and welcome to part 5 of Flutter Appwrite tutorial series. In the previous episode, we learned to connect our Flutter application to Appwrite server and we were able to log in and sign up users. In this episode, what I'd like to do is when the app starts in the beginning, I'd like to check whether or not the user is already logged in, and if they are already logged in, instead of showing login page, I'd like to display home page. So for this I'll have to set up bunch of things. We'll learn to set up routes, we will learn to set up our auth state properly so that we can check logged in state and navigate the users properly. First we'll create a modal for our users. So if successfully logged in, we'd like user to be able to view their profile as well. So we'll create a user modal that will keep our user record. So first in data modal user dot we have already created the modal file. In here we will create two classes. I like to use class with static strings for representing constant strings in my application wherever possible, so that I do not have to type in strings everywhere and I reduce the amount of typo error. So let me add few other fields. So our user has ID. The Appwrite returns the ID field as $ID, name, email, registration date, roles. For now, that should be it. And let's now create a user modal. So ID these are the fields for our user modal. Let's create a constructor. We now have our constructor. Now we need two functions, so from JSON and to JSON, so that we can convert our JSON data we get from Appwrite into user modal and user modal into JSON that we can use to send it to Appwrite. So I've just copy pasted these and I'm using this user fields.id. So instead of typing this, I'm using this. Again here, instead of typing the string, I'm using this. This way, I'll reduce the typo error in my code. Okay, we now have the user modal. Let's now move into auth state. So in the auth state, we need a few things. First is Boolean to check whether or not the user is logged in. Second, user. So user data. And next is error. So we have not validated error, but we'd like to show some error when user is logging in or creating account if they are not successful. So in our init function, so first what we will do is we'll set is logged in as false and user as null. Okay. And in our checked login function, we are already doing the check. We just need to do the proper setups. So let's create another function to get user's account. What we'll do is future, it should return a user get account. This should be a synchronous function. Now try Here we'll just throw the error because we'll catch it in above function. Here we will get the user account. So account.get method that we have already used previously, and if status code equals 200, that is if the request is successful, will return response data. So we'll create a user module, user instance from JSON data returned by our response data and return, else we'll just return null. Error, we are just throwing error. And in the checked logged in function, instead of this, what we'll do is first underscore get account. Okay, remove this print. Is logged in, true, notify listeners, and in catch, for now we'll just print error message here. We do not need to show any error to the user if they are not currently logged in. Okay, now we need to set up few other things. Now in main.dart we need to consume this app state provider and check whether or not the user is already logged in. So in home, for now I'll use it here, consumer, the type will be auth state. Okay, state. Let me import this. Auth state. Now in here what we'll do is we'll check state dot is logged in. Sorry, we have not yet made the getter for this, so let's go back to our auth state. Let's make a getter for this. So bool get is logged in, is logged in, user so we are making the getters for these three variables. And now in our main.dart file, now we'll check is logged in. If this is true, then we will display home page, otherwise we'll display login page. Okay, now we are getting the login page. Let us log in. We have successfully logged in. I am getting the logged in here. Let me hot restart. We are still getting the login page. Let me check if I have done everything correct in auth state. So in init it is set to false, user is null. We are calling checked logged in. In checked logged in we are getting the user setting is logged in as true, and we are notifying the listeners. And in providers lazy false. Okay, that should work. State dot is logged in. Let's put a breakpoint here to check what's going on. Okay, I'm here for the first time. Logged in should be false. Okay, no problem. int is not subtype of. Okay, so while converting from JSON to user modal, I'm getting this error. So int is not type of string. I believe this is our registration date. Let me check. So in from JSON, let me put a breakpoint here. Let me hot restart so that we can see what data we are getting. Okay, JSON. Yes, the registration date we are getting is a integer timestamp, so that is why we are getting this error. So let me just change the data type of registration to integer. This should solve our problem. Let me hot restart now. Okay, continue. Yeah, so we have reached the home page. Thank you for watching this tutorial. In this episode, we learned to create our user model, convert the JSON data we are getting from Appwrite into our user model, and we learned to set up our auth state so that we can show the home page or login page based on whether or not the user is already logged in. So once the user logs in to the app for the first time, he should not get the login page again. So we were able to set up that. This was quite a short episode. Thank you everyone. See you in the next episode.